everyone and anyone, I don't care. I'm not scared of anyone.
For nearly a decade, WEC was one of the most exciting promotions in MMA. The promotion's eye for talent and lightweight divisions created a long list of extraordinary matches, and in today's video, we'll take a look at some of the very best. Welcome to INC, and these are 10 of the greatest WEC fights. Number 10, Miguel Torres vs Yoshida Maeda. While Uriah Faber's win over Jens Pulver took the headlines, it was Miguel Torres' win over Yoshida Maeda that stole the show at WEC 34. Fresh off a submission win over Chase Beebe, Torres entered the match looking to extend a 15-fight winning streak, while Maeda hoped to make an impression in only his second match in North America. An early flurry from Torres set the tone for the rest of the fight, as he and Maeda engaged in a wild brawl that left the Sacramento crowd on the edge of their seats. Nothing could separate the two for the first 10 minutes, be it in the stand-up, clinch game, or even on the ground.
This is like symbolic of this fight. Both these guys are not going to tap, they don't care, they're going to give up both their own feet.
Heavy strikes from Torres at the start of the third proved the turning point, closing Maeda's eye and forcing the match to be stopped as the round drew to a close. Despite the sour ending, the fight earned universal acclaim, with UFC President Dana White describing it as his favourite match of 2008. Number 9, Mike Brown vs Uriah Faber 2. At WEC 36, Mike Brown defeated Uriah Faber in one of the biggest upsets in the promotion's history, and making a high-profile rematch between the two men almost inevitable. Marketed as speed versus brawn, the fight lived up to its billing, with Brown controlling the stand-up with heavy shots and Faber using strong grappling to get the better on the ground. Despite breaking his hand in the first, Faber threatened the champion throughout, throwing kicks and elbows and even threatening a guillotine at the start of the fifth. Eventually though, Brown's superior strength and power saw him claim a unanimous decision, and silenced those who dismissed his first win over Faber as a fluke. Number 8, Miguel Torres vs Takeya Mizugaki. Miguel Torres was trademarked for his tough work ethic and gung-ho aggression, and no fight showcased this better than his win over WEC newcomer Takeya Mizugaki. Despite entering the match as a heavy underdog, Mizugaki showed no signs of fear, forcing Torres on the back foot before the Indiana native came back with heavy knees and elbows. The pace continued in the second, Torres attempting to slow the Japanese with knees and leg kicks, and Mizugaki remaining dangerous with slinging combos whenever possible, even if WEC commentator Frank Mir was a bit slow on the uptake.
Mizugaki needs to start, getting some offense going here in this round. Miguel Torres is just taking pretty good control of this fight so far.
After 25 minutes of action, Torres held on to claim a unanimous decision, and further cement his place as one of the must-watch stars of MMA. Number 7, Mark Romanek vs Yib Jabway. WEC 49 marked the company's sole trip to Canada, and hometown stars Mark Romanek and Yib Jabway will give a performance worthy of the occasion. The fight was a pivotal one for both men, Jabway hoping to bounce back after losing his company debut, and Romanek looking to stretch a career turnaround that saw him win 4 of his past 5. A fight 8 years in the making would live up to the fanfare, as Jabway smothered Romanek with jabs and kicks in an action-packed start to the fight. The fast pace soon played into Romanek's hands, taking control by the end of the first and appearing to have the match won after dropping Jabway with a liver punch, only for the former animator to pull a comeback that would make even Popeye blush.
And that is just taking the life out of him. Oh! And now he's landed that right hand! This fight is ridiculous!
Romanek survived the Hail Mary blow, sweeping into full mount before finishing his gassed opponent late in the second round. Romanek retired in 2012 with 20 wins and 12 losses, the fight with Jabway proving the high point of the machine's illustrious career. Number 6, Carlos Condit vs Hiromitsu Miura. Carlos Condit was one of WEC's biggest homegrown stars, so it's appropriate his final fight with the promotion would prove one of his very best. In Miura, Condit faced a dangerous challenger. The Pancrase veteran burst on the scene with a win over Blas Avner in his welterweight debut, and many believe in The Last Samurai had the clinch and ground game to pose a threat to the champion. Miura started the fight strongly, taking the fight to the ground with a series of judo throws before Condit returned fire with a heavy right hand in the middle of the first. Both men came close to finishing the match on multiple occasions, Condit almost securing a choke at the end of the third before Miura threatened his own stoppage with wild strikes and heavy ground and pound. The natural born killer survived the onslaught, landing a heavy knee before finishing his Japanese opponent late in the fourth. Miura returned to Japan shortly after the fight, while Condit enjoyed a prolific career that saw him claim a UFC interim title. Number 5. Olaf Alfonso vs John Pollock. If there was a list for great forgotten fights, Olaf Alfonso's win over John Pollock at WEC 9 must surely be number 1. With Pollock taking the fight on a few hours' notice, fans entered the match with a sense of unknown. They get their answer just 10 seconds later.
Oh, Olaf comes firing with those rights. Oh my goodness, rights and lefts. He's knocked out John Pollock. Hit him flush and knocked him back.
The opening stanza set the tone for the rest of the fight. Olaf controlling the clinch game and Pollock remaining a present danger with his overhand right. Both men were bloodied by the opening minute, but maintained a frantic pace all the way to the final bell, with Olaf getting the nod by split decision. Neither fighter would achieve mainstream stardom, but as one of WEC's first fights on television, it helped secure the promotion's place as a home for free, entertaining violence. Number 4. Anthony Pettis vs Benson Henderson. From one of WEC's first fights to its very last, Benson Henderson's war with Anthony Pettis giving the California promotion a send-off to remember. Henderson was making the second defense of his lightweight title, while Pettis' mix of wild strikes and flashy kicks proved him worthy of his Showtime moniker. The fight became a conflict of styles, with Henderson dominating on the ground and Pettis using counter strikes and hard knees to gain the upper hand in the stand-up. After 4 rounds of momentum shifts, it would take something special to separate the two men on the scorecards, and entering the final stages of the 5th, Pettis did just that.
And Stefan, I cannot think of a better way to bring down the curtain. And Pettis with
He ran up the wall like a ninja!
The Showtime kick would go down in MMA folklore, helping Pettis take a unanimous decision in the most dramatic fashion. The fight showcased the dynamicism of two of WEC's biggest stars, both of which would win gold when the company merged with the UFC in 2010. Number 3. Donald Cerrone vs Rob McCulloch. While TV viewers were treated to a Jake Rusholt squash, and I use the term loosely, it was Donald Cerrone's battle with Razor Rob McCulloch that left fans enthralled at WEC 36. Cerrone entered the match as one of the lightweight division's biggest prospects, while McCulloch was hoping to bounce to the form that once saw him claim the lightweight title. McCulloch started the fight strongly, rocking Cerrone with the first minute before Cowboy came back with heavy blows that dropped the veteran on multiple occasions. After being dropped again in the second, McCulloch forced a fight back, holding off multiple submission attempts and getting the upper hand in the stand-up as the round drew to a close. By the end of the third, Cerrone was by far the fresher fighter, mixing in multiple takedowns on his way to a unanimous decision. Seen as a submission expert, the fight proved Cerrone could hang with the sport's great strikers, and while Cowboy took years to find consistency, he showed what he was capable of in a Fight of the Year contender. Number 2. Lenny Garcia vs Chan Sung Jung. In WEC's first pay-per-view, Lenny Garcia took on Chan Sung Jung in one of the best fights of 2010. Jung was making his company debut after a 10-1 record in Asia, while Garcia was a former title challenger with a reputation for throwing bombs. And fortunately for him, Jung was happy to oblige.
They are engaging toe-to-toe.
Garcia is swinging for the fences, as is Jung.
He's standing right in the pocket. The Korean zombie. Oh, he got rocked.
The fight was all action from the off, Garcia attacking Jung with wild overhands and Jung dropping the Texan with a 3-punch combo in the middle of the first. The second and third offered more of the same, a smorgasbord of haymakers, wild exchanges and straight up craziness the company never came close to matching. Despite Jung appearing to have the upper hand, the judges were swayed by the wild swinging style of Garcia, giving him a controversial win by split decision. And at number 1, Benson Henderson vs Donald Cerrone. Benson Henderson's match with Donald Cerrone was a perfect mix of hard strikes and elite level grappling. A fine achievement for a match which shouldn't have happened in the first place. After Jamie Varner pulled out through injury, the unbeaten Henderson was drafted on short notice to take on Cerrone at WEC 43, marking the first and only interim title fight in the company's history. The fight became a battle between Henderson's submission defense and Cowboy's aggressive guard, throwing chains of triangles and armbars while Henderson pressed the action with heavy blows from mount. A series of takedowns in the middle rounds appeared to give Hendo the upper hand, only for Cerrone to fight back and nearly force a stoppage with an aggressive omoplata in the 5th. The fight was as even and as competitive as they come, with Henderson getting the judges' nod 48 points to 47. Henderson and Cerrone would fight twice more after this, but not before booking their place as the greatest fight in WEC history. Well, that's our opinion, but what about yourselves? What do you consider the greatest matches in WEC history? Be sure to post your comments, like this video, and stay tuned to this channel. This is the INC, and thank you for watching.